My name's Ron Winn. I'm from central east coast of Florida, a little community called Indian Harbor Beach. And what we're going to do today is tie a mullet pattern. It's in this time of year, this time being the fall, we have a mullet run down the beach, and this is something I would use in the surf during that time of year, hopefully for tarpon, snook, redfish, ladyfish, jacks, etc. A very simple fly to tie. It's tied all out of synthetics and is very durable for that reason. Also doesn't gain a lot of weight in the water as a result of being tied out of the synthetics. I tie this fly in a number of different sizes. When we get up to a larger size, I like to use this Steve Farrah's blend. It just gives you a little more volume with a little less material. And we'll start with some white underneath. We're really going to tie this fly with about 2 clumps of material is all. And I'll get a generous clump here. Just break it off. Set it aside for a minute. Put this up before it gets out of control. I've just used a little piece of paper I wrap up, and I can get it right back in its package it came into. Now this is the way material comes out of the package. It's kind of tapered on both ends because as they, what this is slinky fiber that they've incorporated some angel hair into, and in doing that incorporation, it kind of tapers it out. I'm using a 2/0 hook here, and if I were to fold this in half, this would be about the right size, but what I'm going to do is take and trim a little bit off and throw it away. And now I've got a square in, and I don't want it square, I want to re-taper it. So I'm just going to, oh no, hopefully that's showing up. I'm just pulling it out. I'm going to do all this tapering before I ever put it on the hook. Okay. So now I'm back to being tapered on both ends and a little bit shorter than when it originally came out of the package. So I'm going to take it, pretty much encircle the hook with it. What I've got hanging off the front here is a distance, is a length that I'm going to make the overall fly. This is a little bit shorter. We'll add a little bulk underneath the fly. I'm using a monofilament thread. I've glued it down with a little super glue. This happens to be super glue gel, which I like, gives you a little more work time. So now I've got a big clump hanging off the front, a little smaller clump hanging off the back, and I'm just going to take this, fold it back on itself, and there's my basic shape. Now, I don't want to bind this down, because if I do, I'll lose my volume. So I won't bind it down, I'll just wrap right up to the head. Okay? One thing nice about this Farrah's blend is it has all the flash and everything that you need built right in, so I don't have to add any flash. If I were using a material without it, I would add some flash. In this particular case, I would add some flash like this, which is a Flecka Flash mother of pearl, Flecka Flash made by the HTO products, of which I've got no affiliation with, but they do make a nice product. Comes out of South Africa. Okay, most mullet have a darker back. I've got a little purple with mixed in with the black here, but before I do that, I think what I'm going to do is put a little gray in there, because most mullet do have a gray cast to them. This material, mirror image, very much the same material. Does not have the flash in it, so I'm not going to use too much. I'm just going to do a little transition from white to this dark that I'm going to use next. Since I cut it off square, I'm going to taper the end a little bit. And then just put a little bit of this. This is so close to being white, it doesn't really show up too good. but hopefully you can see the change slightly there. And then when I said we were going to do this with 2 clumps, we're now going to do it with 3 clumps. All right. And lastly, we'll put a dark back on it. This is Farrah's blend called Midnight Blitz. It's got some blue mixed right in it. And not too much. Now, most mullet, may have gotten a little too much here. Most mullet will tend to have a darker head and then back to a lighter body. So what I like to do with this is I will cut off quite a bit of the stuff that I'm had on there. Again, taper it out a little bit, and then I'll just put a little clump up here on the head. Okay? Like so. Knowing that I've still got all my dark and my bigger clump to fold back on it. So here we go. Comb it out. Get your colors where you want it. And I'll use a little bit of Softex to help it hold its shape. Okay. And this will just hold the fibers down a little bit. And I just brush a little bit on. You can see this fly is pretty good size, and this is something you'd want to throw in the surf, probably with a 8 or 9 weight, maybe with an 8 or 9 weight shooting head, so that you have enough oomph to get this fly out. Because it is synthetic, it doesn't absorb much water, it won't get heavy on you, but as you can tell, it's pretty good size. So don't overtax yourself trying to throw this with a 7 weight, because it's going to ruin your day. That's basically it, except for adding some eyes. I like to use these 3D eyes. This is a pretty good size fly, so we'll use a pretty good size set of eyes on it as well. This happens to be a 10 millimeter. And for this process, we're going to glue these on with some super glue gel. I like to keep my eyes forward, and I'll just make a little dollop of it on each side. And get my eye maybe get my eye. There we go. Stick it on one side and again on the other. Now, if I were making a menhaden fly or a pogey or a pilchard, often called in Florida, I'd squeeze those together. But because we're wanting a mullet and we're wanting a little volume, I'm not going to squeeze those eyes together. Just get them in place like so. Okay? Now, and that's your mullet. Okay? If I wanted this fly to be durable, I'd let this super glue dry. Then I'd line a little bit of epoxy around these eyes. They'll be much more durable. Will hold up to snook and jacks in the surf. It's a good fly around the docks at night. There's a lot of people that fish for snook around the docks down in this area and south. Good fly, works for that kind of stuff too. And that's it, a mullet fly.